Howdy, team, and welcome to Houston, Texas at the Round Rock Complex, where every day is a rugby day. Next Level Rugby is bringing you all the action, but today is the day for the D2 Women's Rugby Championship for the USA Club Rugby fraction. We've got the Whitehorse Phoenixville versus Tampa Krewe for this Women's D2 Championship. We talked yesterday about the 2Gs, which was grit and game management. Both teams demonstrated it in order to get themselves here. But what will matter most is going to be the 2Rs, which is recovery and resiliency for who is going to take home the championship. My name is Darian Lovelace. I am joined by Lance Kavanaugh, dear friend and Great American Rugby, Mr. Tell It Like It Is for American Rugby. Lance, go ahead and talk us through what's going to matter most for both teams and their different paths of how they got here.
Well, one thing you said is recovery and resiliency on a 2-day back-to-back, especially for all the marbles national championship. You got to get in the ice tub. You got to jump in the swimming pool. You got to communalize as a team, get your refocus after a hard battle on Saturday. And it all comes down to this grit, determination, definitely, but it's so much more that goes into it. I cannot wait.
And we're going to go ahead and talk shop and show you some clips yesterday of what it took to get them here. First team we're going to talk about is the Phoenixville Whitehorses. Today, we've got a couple of changes that happened in the back line after a heavily contested match. They only ended up on top of the Sacramento Amazons 32-21. Some changes within the wings and the inside center. The number 12 Beam, keep an eye out for her, as well as Diabo. Both were instrumental in getting these two sides here. But Lance, Tampa Krewe, yesterday we saw a lot of what they can do in the back line. What can we expect to see, and what adaptations do you think both sides need?
Nicole Snyder, who you see on your screen right now, the center for Tampa Krewe, wrecking shop, USA Eagle, putting her time in, doing great things in Florida. And she's just one piece of an enormous, elaborate group of young women who have put together quite a season. I expect them to be as physical as they always been, but watch out for Nicole Snyder again. 4 tries yesterday, could double it up today.
And it's definitely going to be a matchup between the Fasties because both back lines are just extremely talented, very smart. And today it's for all the marbles. Both teams have everything to lose, but they have everything to gain as well for the D2 Women's Club Rugby Championship. But we're going to be talking shop about the D2 Women's. Later on, we're going to have the D2 Men's, which will be our Miami Tridents, another Florida side against the Oceanside Chiefs. But that is still to come. Game is already underway here with Tampa Krewe with ball in hand. They're going to be in the burgundy and black, and on your left-hand side, Phoenixville is going to be in the purple and the white. Moving it through the hands now is the Krewe, and taking it in right from the jump is Nicole Snyder right into the center of the pitch.
I mean, we seeing this Phoenixville side bringing the action directly to this Tampa side. Tampa has been known to run an elaborate system, running out the back of the fours, but Phoenixville found a way to get the ball back. Swung and dragged down by number 13, Casham getting the tackle. Phoenixville setting up, going right to their prop. Leah with the big hit up, getting held up just a bit in that tackle, but Phoenixville doing a good job of holding on to ball retention. This team from PA representing Mid-Atlantic well, bringing a fight to this Tampa side who ran away with their matchup yesterday. Smoothly moving the ball. Errant pass, but able to collect the bounce. Brought into hand by the winger, Rachel Allison, getting multiple support by her fullback and outside center, a crash up by Phoenixville, gaining good meters. They can't bring her down early, and that opens the opportunity for quick ball. Let's see if they find the space and go wide. They do another hit up, and it looks like Tampa had an opportunity to poach, but unable to get there in time and knock the ball on, couldn't keep retention. We're gonna go to our first scrum down of the matchup as these ladies in Austin, Texas are battling for a national championship. This Whitehorse team looks like they're ready to fight. They're bringing the action to this Tampa Krewe side, who usually plays a tactical game. Watch out for the way that the Tampa Krewe will use the boot, kick for territory, use fast defensive pressure from the outside to close out the back three as they play more for territory. Phoenixville able to run their system left to right, right to left, and also able to keep the ball. If they can find a way to build up phases and match the physicality of this Tampa Krewe side, this matchup is going to be very, very interesting. Scrum half in the middle, organizing everything. Natalie Cruz making sure that all the soldiers are in a row. Back to the winger, Rachel Allison again. And Phoenixville are going to the forwards. They're playing a very, very solid approach to rugby. Forwards, back forwards. The kick over the top. And this looked like this might go all the way out of bounds. What an amazing kick after the Tampa Krewe was able to apply defensive pressure. The line speed of this Tampa Krewe defensive line get into the face of this Whitehorse side. Phoenixville opting to go to the boot, to the corner, and found touch. Now we have our first line out of the match. And Tampa able to really show danger in some of these set pieces, but backed up in their own end, won't have the opportunity. Chances are they're going to go to the boot, try to clear their lines and get away from their own end. First line out to come. They fake the front pod, go to the middle. No contested jump by Phoenixville. The fake out worked. Out the back to Snyder, and they're going to play from the back, it looks like. Tampa confident, ball thrown to the ground, unable to get clean ball in hand on that one. And Phoenixville might have an opportunity to steal, and they get it. Long arm penalty, playing the ball on the ground by Tampa Krewe. And now Phoenixville with the first penalty deep inside of the 22. Tampa opting to attack. I love to see it. I love to see teams gambling and going for it. But just that defense right there, unable to make the ball clean. Player on the ground is just doing too much. Referee's right on top of it. And what an amazing job by Kelsey Beam with the steal for Phoenixville, able to contest that and get the ball back for her side. As you see the coaches, they're locked in right near the 22-meter line. The focus is at optimal, 10 out of 10. Looks like Phoenixville is going to go and rely on the maul. The ball is out back. We all see it. It's presentable. It's turning just a little bit, and that ball has been detached. Penalty, offsides called. So now they have a long arm advantage. Let's see what Phoenixville does in order to take the most and make the most out of this advantage situation. Pick and go by Leah. Again, another pick and go. Phoenixville bringing the physicality. Tampa Krewe hasn't really had opportunity at ball in hand during his first 5 minutes outside of a line out attack, and unfortunately a knock-on happens that ruins that bit of play for Phoenixville. Number 5 with the ball. Casey Evans looking at her opposition, and they take the ball back for this long arm offside advantage off of the maul. And you see the line out. Tampa able to come around, able to match numbers, able to slow down this maul just a bit, force it to roll and disattach. And last thing you will want is a team to get a rolling maul early against you. Getting points that way is a devastating way to give up a try early on. Phoenixville goes right to their prop. She has been getting her hands on the ball multiple times for the early part of this matchup. Out of the back to their 15. She's grabbed and dragged down. Gallagher unable to get meterage on that one. Phoenixville's going through the hands and just a baby knock while trying to get their structure reset after a great defensive approach by Tampa Bay. And Tampa Krewe now have an opportunity with the ball and a scrum in the middle. Darian, Phoenixville putting on the pressure early on, forcing Tampa Krewe to play more defense than they used to, more defense than they like. This is a great bit of play for Phoenixville, unable to get points throughout it, though. Do you think Tampa will go for an attack out of their own end as they did in that earlier lineout?
6.5 minutes gone here in the first half in Houston. And Tampa, you're right, Lance, haven't had to play a whole lot of defense. 60-5 yesterday. They beat South Buffalo. But Phoenixville already putting them under a lot of pressure at scrum time as the number 8 goes ahead and picks up and goes herself for Tampa Krewe. Now well out of this end. Risky play ends up paying off heavily for them as the cavalry comes in to try and set up the platform. Casham takes it in, and she's met heavily, ends up presenting the ball to the other side, and that gets penalty for Phoenixville. Uncharacteristic coming in from the number 7.
You don't see those kind of mistakes from this Tampa side throughout the course of the year, but already you can see that Phoenixville has a great ability to play pressure. The 8-man Rachel Bradley getting a long break off of the back of that scrum, but unable to keep possession of the ball. And those are the moments that Tampa usually capitalize on, especially in their matchup yesterday. Looking in the wrong direction, just got confused a bit, tried to readjust and present it to her own side, but the referee right on top of that. Sorry, player on the ground, can't play it. And now we have a line out just outside the 22 for Phoenixville.
Line out set to come for Phoenixville. They toss it in the middle. It goes straight through the hands of the flanker, but they're able to gather it at the back and kind of make a conga line to try and get some go forward there. Okunoe takes it in and comes to play as Tampa Krewe set their interior defense. Eyes are looking up. They decide to move it wide now, Phoenixville, doing a looping play through the number 10 and a kick through, but just sniped out of the air. Black gets it, and cool as a cucumber decides to kick it out, but didn't find touch there while she was in the 22, so yet another opportunity for Phoenixville and a penalty advantage.
So no advantage coming. We're going to go back to the offside and the kick.
And we'll go back to the offsides penalty.
Did you see that catch by Samantha Black on that first kick? She caught a dart out of the air. They run a loop play, and Anna McGlade kicks an absolute runner, and Samantha just reaches up and catches it easy. Unfortunately, her kickback didn't get the space that it needed. There was nobody home deep in the back side of the field, unable to get the ball off the pitch. And Phoenixville is really going to the boot. This is a great bit of initiative by Phoenixville, because this is what Tampa Krewe usually does to teams, using the boot to really control the match. If your defense does well against us, we'll kick to the corner, add pressure. And it's working out so far for Phoenixville. So we spent the majority of this matchup, if not every bit of this matchup, on this side of the field, the offensive attacking side for this Phoenixville team.
Gallagher gives it a good whack and doesn't get the signal up from the flag. So our score will still say 0-0. About 10 minutes gone here in the first half. And Lance, as you were just saying, Phoenixville is putting on a lot of pressure. The Krewe have racked up a numerous amount of points when it's come to the opposition and haven't faced a lot of teams that can work down in this end. We talked a lot about the backs and about how that was going to be a competition. Athleticism found in Black is just unreal. They go ahead and use the boot right off the bat there, and it goes off of the leg of a Phoenixville player, and it was debatably a knock on there after going off the foot, but Nelson sees that the ball went forward, so we'll have a knock on going in favor of the Krewe, and they're right between the 40 and the 50.
And this is the space where Tampa Krewe usually really implements their offensive attack. They're going to go to their fly half, Robin Oliveira, and she's going to use that foot to change the course of the game. She did a great job of that over the semifinal, using that boot to get space, applying pressure to South Buffalo. This Phoenixville team seems like a different side, though. They don't seem so susceptible to those kind of circumstances, and they're playing bully ball against a bullying team like Tampa. It's been great to watch in this early 10 minutes.
Donegan and Cruz getting caught back at the scrum. Nicole Snyder decides to run a switch line and gets some go forward, but Phoenixville do well to contain. No long line break for Snyder there as Oliveri moves it to Black. Black spots a little bit of a gap and then makes it through, snakes her way. It's a foot race now. She's trying to find the 2v1, cuts back inside, and thank Cruz for that tackle, but they're at the 22 now, and Tampa Krewe is knocking Donegan under a little bit of pressure there, but finds some go forward in Ferguson. Still hanging out at the 22. They move it to the other back rower. Number 8, Bradley gets double tackled down and gets no go forward. They're moving backwards now as Snyder decides to go ahead and take it in at the line. Well contained tackle from Phoenixville. And now just deciding to keep it this launch, holding very true and strong. They get the fold to come around on the left-hand side. Casham, part of the Casham couple, decides to take it in at the 22 and spending a lot of time there. Donegan fishes it out, gets it to Casham as well. Got a BOGO on the Cashams after a little bit of confusion there, but glad we got that sorted. One thing that wasn't sorted, though, was that breakdown. Phoenixville get a penalty after a not releasing penalty from Casham.
And I mean, we're talking about the way that Phoenixville defensively reorganized after this line break. Out the back, the space is there for Samantha, and she blacks out completely, finding the room. It turned into a foot race, unable to get the ball out to the wing thanks to Phoenixville's defenders really trailing tough on that inside channel. Great defense by Phoenixville to get the ball back for their side.
Making it around the hinge of the defensive crew was Phoenixville. They get out of the 22, and the pressure defense forces the ball to get knocked backwards, but the saving grace gets found in, I think that was Esposito. Going to the boot, though, is also the number 10, McGlade. McGlade gives a good boot, and losing it backwards was Black, but the speed is there, so she rounds one, gets it off to another one, and connects well with Bradley. Bradley holds her own as the support comes in for the Crew. Moving it to the right-hand side, Oliveri finds Jarrett, and Jarrett is well contained by Phoenixville, doing a good job of coming up. They get Donegan isolated. She's under a lot of pressure on that interior part. Trying to hit around the corner. Okunoe stops that dead in its track. Tampa Krewe just lost about 20 meters against this Phoenixville defense. Beam brings the Bradley to ground as well. Oliveri gets it to Black, and Black is met heavily by 2 Phoenixville defenders. This launch, Lance, you have to wonder at some point who's going to break and who's going to bend.
Yeah, South Buffalo didn't have this kind of pressure during the first game. The defensive line speed is something that Phoenixville's put a great bit of appreciation on, as you see, and it causes a turnover for them. They're back on attack.
One thing that did break was that defensive line, and then Snyder decides to just fold it like a lawn chair and forces a knock on there. But Lance, we talked about her attack yesterday, the number 12, Snyder. You said her name multiple times yesterday, but this defensive tackle was, I mean, rugby chef's kiss there.
And she had those same kind of tackles throughout the year, and also in yesterday's semifinal, she was knocking heads off left and right. The physicality she brought, controlled the field, and forced multiple turnovers for her side. Unfortunately, couldn't get the ball back. Knock-on happened after the ball spilled out. But those are the little bits of moments and those little incentivized moments that you want your team to capitalize on as best as possible. Snyder's going to create those defensively and offensively.
Score is still at 0-0. Referee Nelson has a conversation with the front row. Looks like he's specifically talking to the hooker on the Tampa Krewe side, Hermet. It'll be a put-in coming in from Cruz, the number 9 scrum half.
Bind. Set.
Scrum is underway. It's a good engage there, and Tampa Krewe trying to put Phoenixville under pressure, but they hold their own there, and Cruz moves it to their fly half. They run an inside switch, and Snyder gets caught flat-footed, and another one gets caught flat-footed. Black is down. A over-the-top pass gets Phoenixville well into the 22 there, but Black is over top, and it's turned over there by Tampa Krewe in a turn of events. Almost looked like Phoenixville was going to break through for a try. Tampa Krewe, that Florida gang, passionate about defending. Bradley goes ahead and runs it straight up. They're at center field now, but at the 22, so they've got a lot of work to do here. There's 3 backs on the side, so Black decides to go to boot. Doesn't really get a lot of distance there, and it gets kicked back to the fullback. She runs around 1, gets around 2. Casham finally there to bring her down. Casham contesting at the ruck, though. It's a 1v4, and she almost wins it, but backs off. And Phoenixville just very slow to get back, so that forces McGlade to have to go to the boot. Goes deep within the 22, now at the 5, and Black has to come back and corral it. The 1v1, she gets a pass off to, looks like that was the number 11, who also goes to boot. Panino doesn't get much distance. Snyder gets it, then somebody's got to be offsides. It looked a little bit confusing and chaotic there, Lance.
And I mean, this break by Phoenix right here, the set piece play, just going right at the 10-12 channel. And once she was out of that break, she was gone. It turned into an absolute foot race. Able to get the offload away, but the support just not there. And unfortunately, we've seen from both teams, long break and a defensive structure able to get back and apply the proper pressure to get the ball back. This is going to be one of those games that we see. Neither team is given an inch. And even if you break the line, it doesn't mean you're going to score or find success from it. That's something you love to see on championship caliber games. 0-0 matchup early in the first 20 minutes of a national championship game is some of the best rugby you can ask for. It shows that you really are looking at the best 2 teams in Division II in the USA.
And it looks like Phoenixville elected for a scrum there on the 5. Might have been a forward pass there, so they had the option after the penalty. Cruz moves it to the one who just had the line break. That's the number 14, it looks like. Allison gets taken down. Cruz is now at the back, so the forwards are going to have to come in and clean up. They pass off the base, and taking a rumble up is Esposito. Esposito almost gets there. They're about 4 meters out, so they elect for the pick and go, but holding strong is this interior defense from the Krewe. They decide to move it left to try and get closer to the goalpost. That's smart. Casham almost gets in there, but is called out. As now they press on. Okinowe gets tossed. Not common for her, but it gets her down about 1 meter out, and they're going to pick and go one more time. Looks like space is slowly opening up, though, on both sides. Cruz finally moves it to the number 10, McGlade, who then moves it back. Snyder's there waiting for it, though. They get the offload, and they've got an overload if they can move it. McGlade comes around, ready to take it to the line. Almost at the sideline, though. It's about 5 phases just within the 5. Forwards come in off of Cruz. A big booming run might have just got them the first score, and that did. Phoenixville now on top. We'll get you that number in just a second. But Lance, 5-0. The Krewe haven't been down at all this season.
I think this might be the first time that they've been behind on any team during the course of their year. And this bit of play right here, already having full momentum by the time the ball comes to you. Number 12 running through the Krewe and getting 5 points down. I've known Tampa Bay to be a bullying team, and they have now met a squad that is going to hit them back. Number 12, Kelsey Beanham, who I've already spoken on before in this matchup, showing early that she has what it takes, running through defenders to get 5 points on the board. And Phoenixville starting out early with physicality, and they are not afraid, and they are ready to take their chance to win a national championship.
Phoenixville's Gallagher and the captain will slow this down and take our time getting ready for the boot. Water break is called, and conversion is good.
I mean, this is one thing. I love physical rugby. Run and start, defense steps up, but it is not enough. I mean, you see a trail of bodies, players falling backwards, legs in the air. Woo! We are in for a national championship matchup of the ages in this early 20 minutes. Defensive struggle. I love to see it.
Thank you for the help. Thank you for the help.
And we are going to take a break and let the players get water. We'll be right back with you right here on the Rugby Network. Next Level Rugby on production. We'll be back in a bit.
Just be on it on kicks. Because we're passing it deep. And it's not going very far. Yep. So make sure you just got to really work back. That was a good
To understand the game in its fullest, you need to understand what's happening to the ball.
Gilbert is synonymous with every major event that's happened in our sport.
The ball is a conductor of the orchestra. We put a tiny microchip inside the ball. We're getting location information from the ball, speed, spin, distance, trajectory, hang time.
The technology and the innovation behind this ball is truly a game changer.
6 out of 10.
There might be some dark days, and who have you relied on, and who's been sort of your support system to get you through those times?
For me, especially with this whole process, has been, talking to my loved ones and my close family.
Especially when I'm on the road, get a bit of homesickness, but fortunately with technology these days, I'm able to call the missus, call my parents, stay connected with the people who supported me through all my tough times.
When the times get toughest, those are the people that I turn to, and God is who I turn to, and I've been able to get strength from it.
Making sure you're managing your relationships, leaning on the people that you know you can lean on, it's been huge.
It's a really important thing for the players to know, to talk to someone, to open.
How brilliant is it?
Welcome back, team. After a water break, Phoenixville on top 7-0 over Tampa Krewe, and we're going to go up and down this one again, but when Tampa Krewe not promising to be down, I want to see how they can band together and get back into this game as Phoenixville already taking it into the heart of Tampa. Cruz goes ahead and moves it to McGlade, who moves it to another prod on the outside. There's a good job of getting to go forward and getting that separation now at the 40. Cruz is making moves to get to the line. Now flipping over the top and getting turned around is Black, but Black does well to corral it and connect well with Panino. Panino tries to get the offload to the ball, but if this one's successful, this interior defense, Donegan's slow to get there, so they offload from the back of the ruck, and luckily Casham is there to get them some meters. Hitting the line hard and then going through was the forward pod as they get it to Oliveri. Oliveri gets it to the wing. And Oliver Nelson not happy with what happened in that breakdown there, so we'll come back for a penalty right at the 40.
Yeah, this Whitehorse team is very, very well rehearsed. That defensive structure after Tampa went out the back a few times and able to hold their defensive integrity is a very strong sign of what they can do. Ball off the foot of the Tampa player, but referee still considers that inside of the ruck. And once that ruck is established, anyone that's a part of it cannot use their hands to pick up or play the ball. It looks like the ball could have been out. I don't fault her for reaching for the ball. You got to play what's in front of you. But that leads to a penalty, which Tampa Krewe opts to take the scrum. These are the plays that they found great success with Nicole. But I'm sure that this Phoenixville team is very prepared for what can come from this Tampa side.
Donegan gets around and then Cruz gets the hand in there, and it looks like a knock-on was caused by Donegan. Not common there. Black is off to the races, but it'll be in vain, unfortunately. She's just stretching out the legs there because looks like that was not a try. They're going to call it all the way back for a forward pass, and Black, you can just see the disappointment there. She waits to go ahead, and they're going to take some time getting back.
And you can see after the scrum half goes around the weak side, the ball just pops out. Samantha, always ready, always prepared, goes right to the boot. A lot of those Whitehorse players heard the whistle. They gave up. But this shows you how serious this game is for both of these teams. Samantha Black is an absolute powerhouse in the state of Florida, representing the USA Rugby League. She's enhanced her discipline of rugby, part of the Phoenix. Funny enough, they're playing against Phoenixville, but part of the Phoenix rugby team that went to nationals last year and had a top 5 finish.
Cruz will put in for Phoenixville and gets the ball off. Donegan not able to put on that kind of pressure. McGlade attacks the line and gets tackled down quickly by Snyder. Contesting at ruck time, though, is Snyder. Only one person's there, and Casham comes in and decides to go ahead and have some of her own. Snyder started that brigade, and then Casham finished it. Somebody else got their hand in there, but a knock-on was caused after that contest. And Lance, we talk about some really special players that are needed to bring up the energy. We've got Snyder there who just leads after each set piece.
Yeah, and she's, I mean, exposing the ball right there created a situation that allowed Casham to step in and cause that knock-on. Players are really stepping up for each team to cause turnover situations. You can see a smart approach by Phoenixville, able to get the ball back immediately after losing on that knock-on. It's a lot of strong IQs on the field. This is fun to watch for real.
Phoenixville, coached by Maxwell Friel, has produced a very good side, but another good side that has been produced by Robert Capriati in Tampa Krewe. Snyder, who we've been talking about continuously throughout the game, gets some good go forward, and Casham's under a lot of pressure there coming in from Oliveri. Phoenixville do well to contain her. Casham tries to take it in. She's high in the contact, but the support coming in from the crew get her some more meters. Oliveri gives a flat pass to O'Neal. O'Neal's turned it over after Beam snatches it. Cruz gets tackled onto the sideline, and the frustration sets in because she knocks it back into touch. And so a lineout will go in favor of Tampa Krewe at the 50. But Lance, both of these teams are so evenly matched. 25 minutes gone, and we've played a lot of rugby in this center field because neither team is really allowing much into their red zones.
Both teams are being really confrontational with the ruck situations. Both teams are opting to try to take the ball away on every prime opportunity. We're seeing a lot of strong defense, and outside of essentially what has been pretty good build up of phase play from Phoenixville, no team has really been close to scoring in the way that Phoenixville has earlier in this matchup. Tampa needs to find a way to get, and I want to believe that it's not the circumstances situation. That forward pass right there just had to do with a miscue in timing and setup. Their structure has led the way for Tampa to get to this point undefeated going into this national championship game. And those kind of errors that we've seen earlier, players presenting the ball to the wrong side, forward passes, those kind of things are uncharacteristic. Hopefully both these teams can settle more into this game and we can get some of that offensive firepower.
And it feels like we've played about our 80th scrum here in the 26th minute with the amount of work that the forwards are having to do here in the middle, but they hold their own there. Nobody really gets an inch there. Cruz gets the platform, though, and then gets it to Allison. Allison gets through one and gets through another one. She gets dragged into touch, it looks like, by Casham. I believe it's hard to see with those beautiful locks in the way. Looks like Allison is down for a little bit longer than what Phoenixville would like. This fend and then the toss into ground. It just looks like she might have landed a little awkwardly there. But Lance, Phoenixville, we talked about their back line. Allison made the change to come in at number 14. So hopefully she's up and moving here in a minute. She's made a lot of meters here for this Phoenixville side.
Everyone seems to be stepping up for both of these teams. We've seen a lot of good rugby in spurts. Last thing we would want, though, especially in the championship game, is for either team not to have their best possible side on the field. And with a double back-to-back, you don't know if that's something from yesterday, is that something from earlier in the season. It's just hard to tell in these championship weekends. And it looks like this might be the end of her day, as both teams clap it up.
Yeah, I was just fixing to say, Lance, we're on the same wavelength. Both teams kind of clapping her off there. Allison looks like she's going to take a seat, unfortunately, just not able to walk off on 2 feet. So we'll have a substitute for you here in just a second. Can see somebody coming on, but we'll get you that number. We have the substitutes and the finishers there for a reason, but what a sport rugby is that even when a player comes off, they clap it up and wish the best for him. Tampa Krewe set for the throw-in. We did get that number for you for Phoenixville. Number 18, Espinoza, came in, and the ball came in right into the middle pod. Oliveri moves it to Snyder, and Oliveri gets it again. The second touch is Casham is taken to ground quickly, a nice, good tackle coming in from Beam. And Oliveri steps up. She's got to play scrum half, so Tampa Krewe having to recycle through as Donegan goes in and delivers it to none other than Rodriguez. Rodriguez is so ball hungry. Oliveri moves it to Snyder. Snyder runs an inside line and then gets around the right hand, and then she breaks free of a tackle. Dishes a fend from the back. Dishes a fend from the side. Does she have what it takes to finish the job? An offload on the inside comes in, and it looks like that's going to be the number 5. That's Koval. Koval will get a score for the Tampa Krewe. Florida come back 5-7. Phoenix still on top, but a kick to come and lands. What a try for the Tampa Krewe. That was a team try for sure.
Nicole Snyder again stepping up, weaving through multiple tackles, defend to keep the defense away. And once she gets to rolling, there's no slowing. Able to find support, even if the tackle could have been made on Koval right there. There was more support coming from Gabriella. This right here is what we expect and love to see from Tampa Krewe. Snyder stepping up at the big moment to find a way to give her team back into this game. And with that conversion, full 7 points for Tampa Krewe. What an absolute masterful try. And it's really going to have to happen in open play because this Phoenixville team has been paying attention to what they do for Snyder in the set piece. Fin after fin after fin. And that offload with the left hand on the way down is pure magic. The Krewe have started. They've got on the scoreboard.
And Lance, one thing we talked about, the intelligence that comes from this side. Tampa Krewe coached by a very well-versed Robert Capriati. And Snyder, if you looked at the hand placement of her fends, we've talked about it, and sometimes it's those tiny little details, the way that she creates separations by bumping off 2, and then when she's ready for the offload, grabbing hold of the jersey, really controlling that contact, and then getting the one-handed offload. Koval is connecting very well with the Krewe, and it looks like they're starting to settle in. A kick goes up, and it bounces right over the 5 and then goes backwards after hitting the hands of one of the Krewe players, but they do well to gather it, and they now have the opportunity to attack as Donegan moves it to the forwards. A good double tackle from Phoenixville. This interior defense has eyes up, and a good launch. Oliveri goes behind. Black moves it, and there's a gap that opens up for Black, but by the short, she gets taken down. Looks like both players are kind of slow to get up there. Looks like that might have been Beam who took a hard hit. Body's just taking a second to get up there. Donegan is met at the ruck, and that player just taking a little bit of extra time, but referee Nelson says, play on, and an intercept try. Could this be what they need? The number 6, a back row. Oh, we love to see it. Evans for Phoenixville answers back immediately. Oh, Lance, that hurts.
And Panino had an opportunity to catch the ball simply and easily, and the ball bounces off her hand while she tried to change directions right into the waiting grass of Casey Evans. And Evans going in to score, and you can see the pain on that winger's face for Tampa, giving up that turnover, that turn to try. But we have to show respect to the Whitehorses. That defensive line is moving up. They're trying to close things down as the ball moves further across the field towards the sideline. They're bringing the proper defensive speed, and when you're playing with intensity, your tackles have been of good form. Good things happen to you, and that 5 points right there stings into the back of the Tampa Krewe, who found themselves getting points back and evening it, but out of nowhere, immediately giving a try back again. And with that conversion, a 7-point lead for Phoenixville. The Whitehorses are high on the horse right now after that gimme try given to Casey Evans. What a turn of events.
Gallagher converts that try, so 14-7. We've got about 9 minutes left, so we've got 2 different points of view here. The Krewe, time is dwindling away here. They still have a whole second half, so it's anybody's game still, but this defensive effort coming in from the Phoenixville Whitehorse, just waiting for that ball in Panino. It almost seemed like the ball magnetized to the hands, and that's just a good individual effort by a solid defensive line. Tampa Krewe now set for the kickoff. Again, we've got about 8 minutes left to go here in this women's D2 championship for the club rugby scene.
Time back on.
Nelson signals that time is back on. And the kick, they elect to go deep, so it's well within the 22. But doing well to field it is Captain Gallagher. She gives a boot to her own and then gets it to Black. That ball does not find touch, even though it was in the 22. So Black now has an opportunity. Oliveri works hard to get back, and so does Casham. Casham connects well with, oh, her spouse. How cute. The Cashams connect well. And Donegan goes ahead and moves it to the left to Black, who is giving it to Hodges after a good defensive effort coming in for the White Horses. Looping around was Rodriguez, and a nice little tips pass. Could get Bradley there. She is tackled, though, right at the 5. But Tampa Krewe come in and give it to Phoenixville. As now Tampa Krewe continue to attack on. Probably about 2.5 meters out. And their forwards are coming in to seal the deal here. Phoenixville, though, trying to seal the deal as well. It looks a little messy down at that ruck. Just tackling right back into the initial ruck. Not getting much go forward. Donegan moves it to Oliveri. Oliveri gets it to Black, and Black just slides in untouched. Not able to field that in was the substitute Espinoza. And so now Tampa Krewe instantly answer back, and that'll bring our score 12-14.
Rachel Bradley with the line break to get him in this position. And from here, the Tampa Krewe, they're a bullying side. They play physical with a lot of teams. This Phoenixville side is big enough and strong enough to really nullify some of that aggression that they bring against a lot of these teams that they play. And right there, they found a way, picking goals, attacking close to the ruck, and finally finding a space, because you have to compensate for what Tampa Krewe brings, especially inside of the 5-10 meter lines, or inside of the 10 meters. They can get points in, especially using those ladies charging forward, able to get those points. But Rachel Bradley with the initial break, creating the opportunity, answering back. It's a national championship game, ladies and gentlemen. We have a game on our hands.
Oliveri, that's twice now. Oliveri bounces it off of that post, and luckily it slots right back in. It took Tampa Krewe a little bit of time to get points on the board, but they've done it. 14-14 now, Phoenixville. They're tied evenly here. 5 minutes to go in the first half of this women's D2 championship. Phoenixville, coached by Maxwell Friel there, pacing. And then we've got the Tampa Krewe coming in for them as well. Robert Capriotti also down there. And Lance, we talked about the intelligence that both sides are showing. Women's rugby, we love to see the physicality. We love the violence, but it's really all about who can go to that dark place and bring themselves out of it on top of the championship. It's for everything right now. Dishing a little bit of a dummy there was the number 5. And they get at the 40 now as Donegan moves it to Casham. Donegan finds Black, our recent try scorer. Snyder loses it, not common there. And it looks like that might have gone forward. Panino picks it up quickly and looks like she was off to the races. But Tampa Krewe, they'll have a scrum there on the 40. And Lance, I think Phoenixville is playing some smart defense there. They're shutting down players like Snyder and Black and marking them up very, very well. Tampa Krewe still is able to find a way, but that's some impressive stuff for them.
In most cases, you can't stop Samantha Black. You can't stop Cole Snyder. You can only hope to contain. But through defensive pressure and just making sure they're in the face of some of these Tampa players, not allowing them to get speed and space, has created a lot of issues for Tampa. They haven't got rolling like we're used to seeing.
And that scrum, of course, holds steady there for both sides. We'll see how that goes in the second half. Losing it, though, in contact is Beam, and McGlade's got to come in and pick it up. Snyder does well to clean up that muck of a turnover, but as they get tossed around, the ball gets lost. Donegan ends up on top of it, and the forwards have to come through. There's a little bit of vulnerability coming in for Phoenixville there around ruck time, but they do well to contain it. Bradley tries to get another line break. She's unsuccessful in that. Black has to go ahead and go in and clean that up. Oliveri gets it from behind a pack of forwards and boots it. It's a clever kick there. Gets pinned back in the 22 and is behind the attack as Captain Gallagher has to clean it up. She moves it to the right-hand side, and there's some speed there for Espinoza, who gives a fend, is off to the races. Snyder!
Ooh!
Snyder says not today, and brings her straight to ground at the 40. Lance, that one's a highlight reel. As now Okanoe is off, going to get across to win the ruck, but it looks like Tampa Krewe might have turned that one over. And let's talk about that hit.
Snyder, line break down the sideline, fly half, able to go one-on-one, tried to hop skip through, and if you expose them ribs, you will get absolutely throttled. Drove into the ground, form tackle, Nicole Snyder, remember the name. Oh my goodness. Nikki is not playing with none of you.
It's funny because I think my dad is watching, and my dad coached me for a while. Part of the D2 club rugby scene, every American has been touched by it in some way, shape, or form, but he called those tackles McRib sandwiches because he's like, they're hungry for ribs that day.
Yeah, that's a McRib. That is a McRib.
That's a McRib.
Extra barbecue
Snyder
sauce.
just showed us a McRib. There we go. Extra saucy. Tampa Krewe, though, get rewarded well because they get a scrum, and we've got only about a minute and a half left to go here in this first half. We're all tied up, so both teams are going to be looking to answer back. The Tampa Krewe might have the last opportunity here. Donegan under some pressure from Cruz. Oliveri gets an inside ball to Black, and Black is just hit quickly. Might have gotten an offsides call there for Phoenixville. Just getting a little bit too excited to make these big hits. They get dinged, and Oliveri moves it to Casham. Casham just takes it straight into the guts of Phoenixville. The Horses, their defensive line holding strong. We can hear the communication. They've got to fold quickly, though, to the left because players like Snyder and Black might be on the outside. Black's got it, who moves it to Casham. Casham gets around one. McGlade takes her down. Defense still holding strong there. Tampa slow to get back there, it looks like. They're getting caught a little bit flat-footed here. And this defense is just coming up in the face. Phoenixville comes up after the ball goes again behind a set of forwards. Oliveri moves it to Panino. Panino moves it to the number 5. Earlier try scorer Koval moves it to Panino. Panino tries to get it back inside. And isolated slightly was a Phoenixville player. So Black comes in and gets the ball back. A chaotic last minute for this D2 final. They tips it through. A little bit more dynamic movement from the Krewe as they try and get into the 22. Donegan goes ahead and moves it to the right-hand side as Black gets it to Snyder. Snyder gets it to, looks like one of the forwards, and forward support comes in as well. Black moves it to Donegan. Donegan gives it to the number 14 who loops in and then has a beautiful inside line. Can she bully over for the try? Can she do it? Donegan, the scrum half, well supported. Tampa Krewe get the final answer of the first half, and they'll lead it. Looks like this will be final play, but 19 to 14. The Krewe on top, and that's the first time they've been in the lead.
Yeah, back into the lead. It's been done once, and for the try, done again. Able to get the ball all the way out to Jared. Jared gets the offload, and the scrum half fights her way through, gets the ball down. You can see the excitement from this Tampa Krewe players. They know how important those points mean to their side, especially in the closing bits of this first half. We've seen a back and forth battle, strong defense, and in the later parts of this half, teams are now able to get some points, add something to the scoreboard. But man, this matchup has already turned into quite a magical bit of rugby. Both teams highly competitive, competing for every inch of the field. This is beautiful to watch.
Oliveri will milk the time here. These teams look like they've walked off for a water break. Boot goes up, it dings off of the post, almost through, but it looks like it's unsuccessful. So we'll go into half 19 to 15. Your Tampa Krewe women are on top for this first half here for the Women's D2 Championship here in Houston. But we'll have a lot more to talk about. Teams will go ahead and divide for about a 10-minute break, talk shop about what they need. And Lance, we'll talk through some of the pretty plays that we saw here in the first half.
Early breaks create great opportunities. They find themselves so close, and a bash on the goal line. What a big collision to get points. Nicole Snyder finding the space, getting all the way down the field to find an offload to Koval. That was the first try for the Tampa Krewe. Then again, Tampa on attack, unable to keep hands on the ball, and Casey Evans goes in to get those points for Phoenixville after a hard work and a long break by the 8-man Rachel Bradley. The Tampa Krewe find themselves on the doorstep again, and Samantha blacks out and slides in for a try. And once again, Nicole Snyder showing up huge with the MIG riblets hit, extra sauce. And after a little bit of play again, what's done once gets done again, and the scrum half for the Tampa Krewe grabs 5 right before halftime. Darian, we are looking at the makings of a next level rugby classic on our hands.
Every day's a rugby day, especially Sunday. We still have more coming for you for the second half. Don't leave your seat. You're not going to want to miss it.
Thank you.
There might be some dark days, and who have you relied on, and who's been sort of your support system to get you through those times?
For me, especially with this whole process, has been, talking to my loved ones and my close family.
Especially when I'm on the road, get a bit of homesickness, but fortunately with technology these days, I'm able to call the missus, call my parents, stay connected with the people who supported me through all my tough times.
When the times get toughest, those are the people that I turn to, and God is who I turn to, and I've been able to get strength from it.
Making sure you're managing your relationships, leaning on the people that you know you can lean on, it's been huge.
It's a really important thing for the players to know, to talk to someone, to open.
How brilliant is it in terms of having this teammate environment that obviously you go out there physically and try and dominate with each other, but then again, it's that sort of camaraderie that is so important to then having good mental well-being.
I think you build so many great friends throughout rugby that is like my safe place.
Your life is kind of like a stool. If you only have rugby and there's only one peg, it's easy to topple over.
Yeah.
But once you have multiple pegs, you have your family, you have a mental health lead, you have those resources, and you have more stability, you're not going to topple over. And that's something that I really take with me everywhere I go.
Welcome to the Rugby Rundown on the Rugby Network, as we bring you your weekly rugby fix.
With the big news, special guests, and unparalleled access, this is your rugby show. Watch exclusively on the Rugby Network.
Let's get ready. Major League Rugby is now.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year.
The Rugby Network is giving you all the free MLR content you want, live and on demand. Never miss a hit, never miss a try, never miss your team. MLR on TRN. Never miss a match.
Rugby is a sport where teamwork truly makes the difference. In alignment with the values of rugby, Globant and Major League Rugby join forces in a powerful innovation scrum that aims to elevate the sport using the latest technologies. We are already co-creating digital solutions to impact the game, the fans, and the global community in a sustainable way. When technology meets passion, the unthinkable happens. Globant, technology that dares to delight.
The moment you have all been waiting for has finally arrived. The first rugby game that allows you to play and get rewards is now live. Step into tournaments, be the ultimate manager, earn free jerseys and match tickets. It is the heart of rugby, now in digital glory. Build your strategy using real player cards. It's your game, your moves. Buy, trade, play, and create your lineup. For cards, your legacy. Experience rugby like never before. Take your fantasy rugby experience to the next level. Join Overlay.
It's time to hit. It's time to pass. It's time to train, step, and tackle. It's time for tradition. And time for brotherhood. It's rugby time, America. It's rugby time, America.
Folks, we are here to make the fast food business faster. Many times we don't really know what to order, but there is a part of your body that always does.
Introducing Taste ID. Taste ID will revolutionize the way that your consumers consume.
With just one generous lick. Oh, sorry. There we go. Taste ID will create and order exactly the combo you would like to eat.
And apologies, there's just the one prototype, so y'all just feel free to share.
How do you know our customers will like it?
Like it? They're gonna lick it.
Nice.
Go ahead, lick it, Bob. It has an antivirus. You gotta lick it to get the French fries, Bob.
Come on, where's the Bob we saw last night at the hotel bar?
Get a technology partner that knows your business and your consumers. Globant, technology that really dares to delight.
May is Mental Fitness Month.
Major League Rugby has partnered with USI Insurance Services and Looseheads in a united effort to tackle the stigma.
Together, we are committed to changing the game.
With the mission of placing a mental health lead
in every rugby club around the world.
When we pick up the ball, we also pick up a legacy. A legacy that stretches beyond your current team. A legacy built on the backs of those who came before you with hard work. And for those who will come after you, we promise it won't be easy. But we'll be there, supporting you on and off the field.
This D2 Women's Final. Welcome back, team, to the Club National Championships for 2024. The D2 women's side, Whitehorse Phoenixville versus Tampa Krewe, and Tampa Krewe are on top 19-14. And this was an incredible first half here. And now everything to play for. This is the last 40. And Phoenixville, Lance, doing something that hasn't been done yet. They are knocking at Tampa Krewe's door. 19-14. This is the closest any team has been. What did Phoenixville do right, and what did Krewe have to do?
They made their tackles. They had great defensive line speed. When it was time for them to attack or get the ball back, they made the most of all those opportunities. This Phoenixville team, this Whitehorse side isn't afraid at all. And outside of that points that was given away at the very end of the half given by Tampa Krewe, able to find points with no time left, this game has been so evenly matched. It's been a joy to watch and a joy to commentate.
Referee Nelson blows it up for a hands in the ruck call coming in against Cashem. Both the Cashems did incredibly well in the first half alongside players like Snyder and Black. But Phoenixville go ahead and go to boot. And McGlade, the number 10 for Phoenixville, competing heavily with the number 10 Oliveri for Tampa Krewe here in this kicking match.
And the boots of Tampa hasn't really been activated yet. They haven't leaned on it in the same way that they usually do. They haven't used it to really dismantle and break the backs of teams like they usually do.
Phoenixville luckily get a hand there off of the lineout. McGlade goes behind the back, and met quickly though is, it looks like that might have been Gallagher. She gets taken to ground quickly by one of the Cashams. And they like to go to the right-hand side. Nobody folding over to the left, so they find their forwards, and they run right into traffic against Phoenixville. And they decide to do it again, taking it right into Primet. Primet does well to get it down, and then there's a knock-on that happens. Bradley got her hands in there. Good defensive effort. It's off to the races is one of the try scorers. That's Caval, the number 5. She gets well into the 22. And none other than Rodriguez is waiting for that ball as she gets her first touch of the second half. Donegan goes in and digs it out. Moves it to the forward pods yet again. And they do a little bit of a dynamic play there. Casham ends up with it. And Casham might have gotten isolated there as Phoenixville get their hands in there. The white, the opposing number 7, Welker. Welker makes a monumental turnover. And somebody was not releasing there. Looks like it was Primet, the number 2 for the Krewe. And so Phoenixville now have a decision to make. They are deep within their 22.
And I mean, that's not a penalty you should give up in any case. Gotta be more disciplined than that. Ooh.
Deciding to risk it all and not kick it out, and it pays off well for them after a big collision happens with Horner. And yet again, Tampa Krewe now giving up about 2 penalties. Cruz elects to take this one quickly, moves it to Evans, who gets it to Gallagher. Gallagher does well to get hold of the ball there. It looks like Cruz had to go in, so the wing comes across and plays scrum half. Getting caught a little bit high there. She needs somebody to pull her over. Somebody rolls into traffic though. She might stay down there for a second. Off to the races though is Tampa. This launch holding strong there. Primet almost gets called for an offsides, but Cruz does well to get it. Gallagher gives a dummy. It looks like that was McGlade. McGlade gives a dummy and then kicks it over the top. It bounces once and then bounces out of the 40. And Lance, that was a smart tactical tick coming in from McGlade.
And they opt to go quick, and it looks like it might have hit something or might have not been their teams. So unfortunately, unable to keep retention of the ball. We got substitutes coming in for Tampa.
Oh, we got subs coming?
We had 1, sorry. 5. Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, here you go. Time back on.
I'm gonna try to get you information on the substitute that came in. I think that was Chirac, Alyssa Chirac, who's in the back of that lineout on your left-hand side for Tampa.
And Chirac was one of the key finishers yesterday who sealed the deal against South Buffalo. Tampa Krewe know how to score points, and they'll be looking for ways to do it. Phoenixville, though, get an opportunity to attack as Cruz has it, moves it to McGlade. Now they move it through the forwards. This is good hands, and they've got an overload there. They reach it all the way to the inside center, Snyder. Snyder just tosses her to ground there, and there's about 4 hands in there. Pays off well for them, as looks like that might have been Casham who gets the turnover. And now right at the 50 center field, Donegan's got options, finds the foolproof option, Snyder. Snyder holds onto the ball. McGlade tries to get her hands in there. Somebody's a little bit slow to get up there for Phoenixville. They're kind of playing around the same spot there, so we'll see if she can kind of get up and get moving. Donegan moves it to the forwards. Injured player is still there. We'll see if referee Nelson decides to blow it up. He won't need to, though, because we get well into the 40. Donegan throws a line to the forwards. Oliveri looks like she was going to kick it, finally decides to do so, and turns the back of Espinoza. It's a good kick. Espinoza gets put under a lot of pressure here. She decides to go ahead and dish it to Casham. And they bring it down quickly. Excuse me, that was O'Neal. O'Neal gets it though, and Oliveri now has it. The playmaker gets tackled, so we'll see if the forwards can come across. Black decides to distribute it to the forward pods. And right outside of the 5 is Rodriguez. Loses the ball, but is taken by the Krewe. Looks like we got a not releasing penalty here earlier going in favor of the Krewe.
And do you see how that kick with the defensive line pressure really creates opportunities for them? Kick to the corner, Had her trapped inside her own 22-meter line, close to the sideline, 15-meter channel, tackle, turnover, and now Tampa's on the attack, ready to go in for another try.
The Krewe get it through one playmaker and get it to the pods. Forwards now are coming around. So is the interior defense of Phoenixville. They're going to have to hold very strong against runners like Rodriguez. Rodriguez gets so close she can smell it. Somebody else also smells the white line but is unsuccessful there. Donegan moves it to Casham. Casham moves it to the number 4. She gets right over the line, and it looks like that was O'Neal, the vice captain, gets over. And now Tampa Krewe, we're starting to see them enter into a very generous lead here, as our score now is at 24-14.
Yeah, and Tampa is just upping the pressure. The tactical kick gets them deep into Phoenixville territory, and they don't choose to go to the back line until they're absolutely ready. Exhausting all the resources of their forwards, multiple pick-and-go hit-ups, and once the space was available, they found it. Casham gets the ball to O'Neal, and O'Neal is oh so real, adding 5 points. And again, this Tampa side, suffocating tactics, kicking to the corner, defensive line speed at a premium for them. And you can see how their defensive work has really created opportunities for them, especially as this second half really kicks off and begins.
Set up for the kick is Oliveri. Oliveri veers it a little bit to the right. Our score will remain 24-14. Tampa Krewe are on top, the Florida squad. And Lance, we talked earlier about the recovery that was needed. It's hot in Houston, nearly in the mid-80s. It's sunny. We see the flags kind of going back and forth there, which means there's a little bit of a breeze, but recovery is key. These teams played yesterday in order to get the opportunity here. In about 20 minutes, in about 40 minutes, we'll have a new D2 champion crowned here in Houston, Texas. Austin, Texas. I'm going to get it right by the end of this, I swear.
And Round Rock is a beautiful facility for anyone who's ever been there. 2 fields, grass and turf. They host so many events, a staple in Austin, Texas area. And now we have our national championship there, as Tampa is really starting to kick it up the pressure. And this is where they start taking teams' hearts away, kicking for tactics, pinning them deep, and forcing them to go the length of the field.
Somebody who likes to not kick is Black after she gets a very long line break and gets it well into the 20, well, close to the 22. Picks it up to try and keep going, to wait for her support to come in. Tampa Krewe is just flooding through, looking fit as ever. They now cross the line of the 22. Donegan goes in and fishes it out and gives it to Ferguson. Ferguson works it around the hinge, is at center field now. Donegan whips it behind some forwards, gets it to Chirac, the finisher. Can't finish the job, though, as she's tackled and loses the ball. Donegan under some pressure there. Rodriguez does well to get some of that go forward. After a big tank of a run there, she's still going. Now gets them almost to the 5. Black does a little bit of footwork, gets off of 1, gives another fend. And the back support while they're at ruck time. Moving in now through a little tips pass was Casham. She moves it to Bradley. Bradley gets a tips through. Looks like they're at the line. Referee's going to give the 2 hands up, which means that it is held up. The Tampa Krewe are unsuccessful, and we'll have a goal line dropout for Phoenixville.
And that's scary moments for Phoenixville. There's no way they can give up points right here and continue to feel like they have a shot. The game, the points wouldn't be insurmountable. It wouldn't be too much. But, man, a great opportunity for their defense to step up and deny that try. As you see, Tampa players are trying to roll people off and get everyone away. But great defensive stand by Phoenixville. But they have to step up again.
Big yikes here as they kick it just right into center field. And the backs do well to work it to the left-hand side. About 10 meters out now is the Krewe. But Phoenixville turn it over. Big turnover there coming in for them, as they'll either look to exit or risk it and move it. Moving it through the hands now. This is risky stuff. With a good defensive line that comes in, the ball goes down after a one-handed offload, and Espinoza just gets tackled into the out of bounds. Presents the ball the wrong way. Tampa Krewe now get it. Everything gets a little bit haywire here, as Tampa Krewe are even shocked that they came away with that one. About 2 meters outside is the Krewe, and they're picking and going. Can they get rewarded after spending so much time down in this end? Rodriguez finally taken to ground. We see the forward still flooding in. Donegan moves it to Oliveri. Oliveri, a good defensive launch though. Brings her down quickly. Not much real estate there. A lot of time bought here as Donegan moves it to Ferguson. Ferguson's well met. This defensive line is holding strong, and it gets well rewarded. Lance, you can see what it means as we get a diving over penalty going against Tampa Krewe.
Casham just laid on top of that ruck. Unfortunately, wasn't able to support herself. I believe a ruck was formed maybe a little bit, and she laid down on the ball, but unable to clear herself off of it. And Phoenixville are talking. You see they're trying to hype each other up. Let's get back locked in.
Our subs complete. Okay, time back on.
Substitutes are coming in, and you can see not a lot of smiling faces as they get subbed off there, just because it's still anybody's game. 24-14, it's a 10-point deficit. We still have about 30 minutes left to go here for this D2 championship. Doesn't get a lot of distance there.
These are some of the most stressful moments of your rugby playing career. You're in a dog fight. You're down 10 points. Everything that seems to be going wrong might not be going exactly how you need it to. I understand the frustration by either team. Tampa need to put this game away and not making the proper plays. Even there had an opportunity to get the ball back, knocked it on. Those little moments, especially getting the ball deep on the end against Whitehorse, can go a long way at solidifying this game for them. But these are stressful moments. 10 points is nothing.
And if it's anything like what we saw yesterday, Phoenixville barely hung on to a win against the Sacramento Amazons, 29-21, but it demonstrates resiliency, everything to play for here as the scrum gets ready to get underway. Cruz, both scrum halves still staying in and holding strong here. The scrum, there's a big push there at the front coming in from Tampa Krewe. We heard it up here through the ref's microphone, so Nelson will give a short arm penalty for an early drive.
And again, it's just mounting up. They're going to opt to go. They're going to opt to go quick tap. But first phase possible, they should be trying to move the ball away from their lines. Tampa's getting so much confidence playing on this end.
McGlade has it, and she does boot it to try and relieve some pressure. It goes right into the hands of Black, who fields it well. She moves it away. It was a 2v1. Panino. It's a little bit of some go forward there after cutting back inside against the opposing wing on Phoenixville. Ducking the head down and just bashing through contact are the forwards. And the defensive line holding strong here for Phoenixville. Holding strong though in the contact is Casham. Donegan goes in, digs it out, gets it to Oliveri. Oliveri moves it to Snyder. Snyder tries to bully her way over. Gets over the 22, but only gets about 5 meters. Somebody looks like they're down after a hard collision there for Phoenixville as Bradley decides to dish one of her own as well. It's over the top. It looks like that's the number 7. She's up though and moving. But there's a lot of space to burn here as quick hands will do it. Panino though knocks it down. Knocks it on just about 20 meters outside. And Lance, there are compliments to be said for both sides. Good defensive effort from Phoenixville, but a long string of phases for attack for the Krewe.
Yeah, and Phoenixville is not going to give up at all. Look at the defensive effort by Jessica coming from the other side of the initial ruck to chase down and stop a potential 3-on-1. And that's what you need at these moments. They have been finding the moments to get the ball back, to stop a possession from Tampa. But the Whitehorses have to find a way to inject some offense for themselves. They have to score points at some point soon, or this game might get away from them, especially playing on this end as much as they have in the second half.
Ball goes in, Cruz gets it after it shoots out the side, and McGlade goes ahead and goes straight to boot. This one will find touch right on the sideline. Black tries to keep it in, and the almost looked like a ballerina kick. She almost does, but it's unsuccessful. So it goes straight out of bounds here after Black touches it, so we'll see. She was out of bounds when she caught it. With this kick from McGlade.
And she tried to tiptoe on the line. If she makes that catch here, keeps it in bounds, it'll be good, but she had that left foot right on the line. AR is right on top of that.
It buys Phoenixville a lot of meters here, and now they're at the 40, just losing the line out though, not having a lot of success at the set piece, but the line out. Cruz has to go in there, and McGlade gets it to the forward pods, and it works well to get around the hinge of the defense here. The fold looks strong though from the crew as they launch up into the face. McGlade's under a lot of pressure, so she's got to take it in against Oliveri. Oliveri is an inside tackle and almost gets her isolated. Beam steps up to be that playmaker. Gallagher gets it to a forward on her outside, who has a big collision though. Excuse me, that was the wing, that was Diabo. Forwards come across and Cruz moves it. Snyder comes in and makes a big hit and gets her hands in there. The ball looked a little loose, but it stays in the ruck. McGlade creeps up slightly. She moves it to the forwards who are just waiting for that point of contact. Support there looks good from Phoenixville, but they're getting pushed backwards a lot here. Gallagher gives an inside line to McGlade. McGlade almost gets away. People have to come across because looks like there was somebody in there for the ruck. And off to the races, though, is the number 8, Bradley. Bradley ends up with it somehow, does a one-handed offload to Panino. Panino catches it, and she ends up in the try zone now in the crew. Oh, disappointment for Phoenixville as they extend their lead 29-14.
Yeah, Phoenixville had to work tirelessly to even keep possession. And right when it was time for them to maybe clear their lines, kick the ball away, Tampa, opportunistic moment to take the ball back. And immediately after the steal, they are off to the races. This is how defense can turn to offense, and that turns into points. Once the steal happened, the referee put his finger up. She was the first into the ruck. And no matter how hard Sydney tried to make that tackle on Rachel Bradley, it was not enough, and Tampa goes in to score. And you can see the bravado, the rising of that energy for Tampa. They starting to smell the beautiful opportunity of a national championship right on the doorstep, but they have to continue to play hard because this Whitehorse team is not going to stop or slow down. But great team try for that Tampa Bay Crew team.
Oliveri boots the kick, and it is good. So now our score is going to be at 31-14 in Tampa. It's been all Tampa at the beginning of this second half. Phoenixville just not able to answer, and Lance, runs like this are just going to keep them ending them up there.
Yeah, it's tough to catch a team who's working together, who's in connection. This is the first try they scored where a strong defensive effort is met with great support and a great offload. Tampa is finding ways to get points, finding ways to get the ball into the try zone. And really, outside of maybe a catch-pass mistake, Whitehorse has only really put up one real definitive offensive try this game. They've been struggling, being smothered by this Tampa Crew defense.
The kick receipt goes into the hands of Black, who catches it deep within the 22, and then a little bit of interplay happens there with Bradley, who just got that long line break. Gets him into a better attacking position. Second phase play. Donegan turns around, thinks about moving it left, elects to move it to the right-hand side, and playing the kicking game now, we're seeing it start to open up. Gallagher, it gets turned completely around. The ball's just rolling. Ends up all the way back at the 5. She goes ahead and goes to boot. It hits off one Tampa Crew player. She possibly knocks it on there. Referee says play on though, so Tampa Crew now are just banging at the door yet again. All rugby down in this end here as Chirac stays strong in the contact, loses the ball though, and Tampa Crew have got to clean it up. Coming in to try and contest is Evans. She's unsuccessful though, as Phoenixville have to continue to come up into the face of this Tampa Crew attack. Black moves it to Oliveri. Oliveri to Snyder. Snyder ducks the head.
Nicole!
That's the
Snyder again cutting through like a hot knife through butter. Excuse me, as she waltzes in for a try. And as I've been saying, and as we've seen from Tampa Crew, they will kick to the corners, add tremendous defensive pressure, force a turnover, and just like that, get the ball into the hands of one of the most devastating runners in the state of Florida, regardless of division, regardless of gender. She is one of the best here in the state of Florida. And again, doing big work for the Tampa Crew. They are rolling 3 consecutive tries, and this is a scary hour for Whitehorse because not only are they fighting against the crew, they're fighting against the clock and a chance for a national championship as their hopes dwindle as Tampa Krewe adds more and more and more.
Oliveri has what some would say an easy conversion here. This is a forward talking, so nothing's easy about kicking. Oliveri gets set, gets ready, and goes right through the sticks. So our score is just favoring the Tampa Krewe. We're going to go to a water break, which means that we've only got about 20 minutes left here in this D2 final here in Austin, Texas. And Lance, I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about Snyder.
Yeah, you see that angle change? She saw the gap. Even before the ball was on the way, she put that left foot into the ground and went right through this Whitehorse defense.
So, thank you.
Man, this is an amazing bit of rugby from both teams. But the pressure off the tactical kicks to the corner, they're finding this fullback isolated,
The other one just got wet.
unable to get the ball off the park, unable to relieve pressure for herself. On multiple occasions, she's found herself lonely and turning the ball over, and it's worked out great for the Tampa Krewe. But give us a second, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back to you when this action kicks back off here in the D2 Women's National Championship game.
Maybe 15 will be in the running for that. She had a couple good breaks.
Welcome back, team. Last 20 minutes here of the D2 Club Women's Final. We've got your Tampa Krewe in the black and burgundy on the left-hand side. They're up 38-14 over Phoenixville. And this is a pretty large deficit entering into the last 20 minutes. My name is Darian Lovelace. I'm joined by Lance Kavanaugh. Lance, this is some hard-hitting stuff here for Phoenixville. It's gut check time.
Yeah, and they have to find a way to fix that back three issue they have whenever Tampa kicks in. Oh, kicks into space. That was a huge collision. Sorry, that took all my attention. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. But they have to find a way to fix this part of it because you can't allow this team to just kick into space, apply defensive pressure, and get a turnover. That has been the tell of the tape in the second half.
Gallagher, the captain, runs around about 3 and then just ends up right into the mouth of 3 Krewe players. Trying to dish some of her own defense as well was Casham, who hits her opposing number 13. Big collisions, though, happen around the left-hand side here. They're over the 40, but still have about 60 meters left to go before they end up in the try zone. They're doing well, though, to secure the ball as Cruz comes across. She connects with Gallagher, who moves it to McGlade. McGlade gets it off quickly. They do good to do the quick hands, and it bops off the head of Phoenixville. And Lance, it almost looked too good to be true here. Panino picks it up, though. It looks like a lot of people were thinking that it was going to be called. But Panino, the good recognition there, gets her a lot of meters. Donegan goes in, buries one out, throws it to a forward who tips it. And this defense holding strong is the White Horses. Oliveri gets a forward pod in front, gets it to Black. Black gets it to Snyder. Snyder just ducks the head. Can she do it again? It almost seems like deja vu. Too good to be true, though. She gets tackled, but well within the 22 is the Krewe. Krewe with about 15 minutes left to go here before they could possibly be crowned their D2 champions. And right here, a good multi-layered attack gets them through the hands in about center field, about 10 meters outside of their try zone. Phoenixville, slow move in there. A lot of big collisions happen down in this end, so they're gonna have to light a fire as Donegan goes over the head of her forwards. Oliveri decides to give a drop kick, question mark. Goes right out of the back though, straight off. Might have just fell off the boot. And then it'll be a 22-meter dropout for Phoenixville. But then let's talk about the body language and the fact that we played in a game yesterday between the two sides in order for them to get here. Starting to notice Tampa Krewe, they're walking, they are talking, still communicating. Phoenixville just look a little tired right now as we enter into the final 15.
Yeah, the heat is really starting to take effect. We're talking about a Tampa team who lives in Florida, deals with climates such as this on a regular basis, practicing it. They will, and in the words of Bane from Dark Knight, they were born in it, molded by it. So because of that, and you're dealing with another team from PA, that can have a whole different effect on how the weather, or how you deal with the weather. Just making sure they were playing discipline is important.
Looks like substitute Mnganga got caught there in the passing channel. We just see here she tries, but it just isn't quick enough. The cheeky play coming in for Phoenixville. Both sides very well coached. Looks like the number 8, Owlback, the captain. Slow to get up there, but she's up and moving. So Phoenixville will still be at a full 15. Not a lot of substitutes coming in for Phoenixville. They move it to Horner. Horner takes it into Sharrock. Sharrock gets her down. Forwards come around and trying to get around the outside. She thought there was an option there. Gives a dummy. Gets some separation in some meters. Looks like Casham almost got her hands in there. Cruz goes back to the left-hand side because there was no other option there. And going straight and forwards is Evans. Cruz, it comes off of the hand. Gallagher goes directly to boot. We'll see if they're waiting there for it. Bergerman goes back to help Black. Black goes inside. The chase looks good. She gets it over the head of one Panino. Looks like she might have lost it forward, but referee says play on, and this is the opportunity Panino needs. She gets brought down within the 40. Ball looks loose almost. Donegan goes over the back of a Phoenixville player, slow to get back, and moving it through the hands. Snyder finds herself there on the outside. A high tackle, though, comes in against Cruz, so the advantage goes up. Snyder might not need it, though. She gets about 10 meters already. And now moving through there is Black. Black gets it to Bradley. Bradley sees nothing but green space, almost gets around. She's tossed to ground, though. The fold has to happen quickly from Phoenixville. Tampa Krewe looking promising here. They had numbers to burn, but they don't need it. They move it back into the inside. Waiting for the support. They've only got to hold on to the lead. We'll get to the time because I think that the 65-55 clock might have passed a little bit. It's frozen in time watching the game as much as we are. So going off-ish, Panino. Panino's had the ball a lot here in this string of play, and who's desperate for it is Mnganga. Mnganga works hard to get the ball back to her team. Black gets it to Casham. Casham connects well with O'Neal, the vice captain. And Lance, the possession game right now just favoring Tampa.
Phase after phase after phase.
Phases building here. They finally get into the 22, though, after a long passage of play. Defensive launch looks good, though. Snyder runs a good inside line. Snyder gives a fend. Can it work against every single Phoenixville player? It seems like she's touched here with that stiff arm. Holds it, gets up to try and go yet again. Almost a BOGO to try and get over there, and she does.
Different.
Snyder.
She different.
Snyder
Nicole Snyder again. I'm getting hyper every time she touched the ball and scored. I mean, tackle on her feet, hands back on the ball. Falls again, back on her feet, hands on the ball. And after a third effort, she would not be denied. That is 6 tries over this weekend for Nicole Snyder. Pretty Nikki is going crazy, putting up points in bunches for this Tampa side. Goodness gracious. And it was so much happening earlier. She took a high tackle, a hit to the face in which she carried the ball an additional 10 meters. You got the winger, Gabrielle, going around multiple people finding the space. They figured out a way to relieve pressure on those kick chase situations. And once Nicole gets the ball, it is crazy. Black loses it. They find a way to get it to Nicole on the wing as we get a conversion going in by Oliveri. But Snyder showing up. She's just the coolest. Look at it, you know, just a regular day in the office, you know, no big deal. But again, the Tampa Krewe are rolling.
Right, with Snyder, she just walks back, and I think I'd be crawling back after almost playing nearly 80 minutes yesterday, and then about 60, maybe 70 minutes in this final, but she makes it look easy. And I mean, Lance, there's not enough that we can say about this back line and the hardworking forwards that are found in Tampa Krewe. It's got to be something in that water that they drink from the tap, but they're just really showing up a lot of heart and a lot of grit and resiliency against Phoenixville. Phoenixville just haven't been able to score a single point here in this second half yet. And while the clock dwindles away, it might be their opportunity to be first in the nation for the D2. Kickoff goes up, and there's a little bit of a confusion between Tampa Krewe players there. The ball goes straight down, though, so Donegan able to set the ruck and get the platform going. Bradley doing what she does best, takes it right into Phoenixville. Phoenixville, though, might have generated a turnover. This looks promising for them. McGlade picks it up, gets around one, gets around another, and is right outside of the 22 here. Cruz bullies her forwards over top to try and get it away. Running down to work it within the backs. They just get caught up right at that second attacker. And Phoenixville slow to get up and slow to get set. They've got some of their substitutes who have come in, and they're ready to rumble. Now they're finally at the 22. Ball might have gotten knocked forward there, but might have also gotten caught underneath there was Chirac. So now at the 22, 14-45, and Lance, it's about 10 minutes. There's a large point deficit. You gotta wonder if the Krewe might be our D2 champions.
You don't have to be nice anymore. I mean, from the way that they've been playing defense, we're talking catastrophic failure if Tampa Krewe doesn't somehow come away with this matchup. Their defense has been great. Tactical kicking has been excellent. And this is just a microcosm of what their season has been about. Ferocious rugby, and they deserve to be in this moment. 10 minutes to glory for the Tampa Krewe.
It's all about how you want to end it. Ending up in this final is no easy feat. The club rugby scene, all full-time employees, some have families, but they love the game so much that they come out here. So first or second in the nation doesn't have a bad ring to it. Phoenixville, though, showing their grit here as they get it at the 5, and then it looks like it might have gotten turnover. Just heartbreak after heartbreak as Donegan ends up with the ball, and she moves it back to her forwards. Black is back there waiting for a kick. She boots it, and this one will find touch.
Thank you.
And so we'll have a line out going in favor of Phoenixville. 10 minutes to go. And Tampa Krewe just have to milk the clock here.
And you can see the celebrations already started. Look at the leg drive. Tampa Krewe getting low and just didn't attach to the player on the ball. She had her hand on it. That poacher has clean access to it because number 5 didn't actually touch her. It didn't actually remove her from the ball. Turnover and kick to release some pressure. This Tampa Krewe team, even the bounce of the ball is going their way as Gabrielle charges forward.
Florida heating up hotter than what it is here in Austin, Texas. Donegan goes in and digs out within center field. Oliveri does a looping play behind Snyder. Black moves it to the 2 replacements, and it doesn't connect well. It is a knock-on, so unfortunate, but Lance, they still look just as fast and just as smart as what they did in the beginning minutes. Tampa Krewe just looks so fit.
The only way to close this game out is to go 100% full intensity. And I've been in these situations before. The game is in hand, biggest moments, national championship. You know that the game is yours. The passes might not be accurate or perfect, but the work has already been done. Insurmountable lead from how the tail of this game has been going. But the Tampa Krewe definitely want to lead this game on a higher note. They want to put their best foot forward throughout the entirety of it. And I think the Whitehorse team is still going to fight continuously until the final whistle. This is what we asked for in championship rugby.
Phoenixville with the put-in. Cruz works it to the back of the scrum here and gives it to McGlade. Looks like that might be a replacement, as Gallagher gets met quickly by Snyder and substitute Miller Schaefer. Phoenixville now have a lot of work to do here because this defense holds so strong from the Crew. Cruz gets it into the hands of the one of their primary playmakers. It goes to deck though, just a little bit of disconnect, and Phoenixville very slow to get back. Not a lot of options. It goes backwards, it goes forwards. Tiring stuff for Phoenixville. And there's a center scrum that'll happen on the 22 for Tampa Krewe.
And there's a lot to be said when you're down by a large point margin. Do you have the structure? Do you have those things put in the training ground to really expand your offense and try to put points up in a quick measure? Do you kick up and unders? Do you chip over? Do you do some of these more wild card things you wouldn't do during the course of the game in order to give yourself more randomized opportunities and a chance to get a bounce of the ball? Because Whitehorse is going to keep fighting for points, but the Tampa Krewe is not giving up an inch.
Bradley picks it off, gets around Evans, but Evans does well to get her to ground. Moving it out to the left-hand side, they find their forwards again. Coached very well by Capriati. You got to wonder if right now is just about managing the zones here. Phoenixville, they roll out. Oliveri, Snyder runs that beautiful inside line, but Phoenix does well to contain it. Donegan goes in and digs it out, moves it to Oliveri. Oliveri now with the replacement backs. Does well to secure the ball. Donegan moves it to Wasaki. Wasaki moves it to Munganga. And a line break comes in from the number 2. That's going to be Premet. Premet runs a beautiful line after a disconnected launch from Phoenixville and lands that. Might be the nail in the coffin that'll just solidify that you're looking at your D2 champions.
Jessie's line has got it going on. Once she was through the line, she had no choice. She went 100%, went to Finn, trying everything she had to get points on the board. Congratulations to Tampa Krewe, who continue to pour on points and add to this team, add to this lead. 14-45 with a try near and dear to the sticks. And they get a try at a national championship game, even if it's in garbage time, quote unquote, still counts. I scored in the big one, as Jesse's going to say from here on out. Absolutely great team try by the Tampa Krewe. They working the ball through the phases. That's another thing that need to be appreciated. They're going forwards to the backs, back to the forwards. Their structure is still holding strong, still running ghost lines, still running layer attacks. This team is prepped for the weather, and they're prepped for this championship moment.
And so right now we're in our D2 women's side. Coming up for you next, though, we've got the Miami Tridents versus the Oceanside Chiefs, where Lance Kavanaugh and myself will be talking shop about that D2 final. We've got 2 Florida sides in there, and we've got 2 other Brazilian teams that have really put on a contest, but the Crew really blossomed throughout this game here. Kick goes up, it's short, so the option will be for the Crew. They take the center scrum, and 4 minutes as we see Coach Capriati for the Crew after the Crew knocked out the Minx for the Gulf Coast Regional Championship. He now is looking at a side that got him his D2 championship as well after they knocked out the Minx, who were the defending champions. So this will be our new 2024 D2 champions. Scrum is underway. 3 minutes left to go here in the final minutes of this final. Black gets it to Bergerman. Bergerman's got room to run. Bergerman looks fast. Bergerman gives a little bit of a Brazilian step there. Keeps the legs going. Just not able to get it away. And now Bradley, though, there is waiting for it as she gives a fend. Phoenixville defender almost gets caught a little bit high there, but does well to work her way down. Donegan moves it to the forwards. Munganga rumbling over the 22. Gives it to Donegan, who gets it to Oliveri. Snyder gives a looping pass to Black. Black gets it to those replacement backs. Can they also get a score? Continuing to power the legs over was West. Excuse me, that was Douglas. They elect to use the pick and go. Phoenixville showing a little bit of heart there. They send in a couple, but the rest of the forwards get there for the Krewe, and they use the pick and go. Quickly over the top are the forwards. Getting slightly isolated, though, there was one. But then about 4 forwards come in to clean it up. This low body height could pay very well for them. Can they get a repeat score of what they had yesterday? 52-5. Somebody's close. Somebody gets over the line there. It looks like that might have been a replacement. We'll get that number for you in just a second. But Lance, almost the same score that we saw yesterday, where the Krewe were on top about 60-5 over South Buffalo.
Shelby Coleman.
39-20.
After this first pick and go, defense doing a great job of turning the body up, not allowing her to reach. They decided to go pick and go at all times. They're just going to continue to go. Drag down to the ground. First movement is to put the ball into the try zone.
Oh, you're giving me more time this time?
No, 60 seconds.
Amazing bit of play from this Tampa Krewe side. It's so much that can be said that I've already said. So many of these players have spent a lot of time with this team, have grown with this team.
Very much.
I happened to be there last year when they lost to Knoxville Minks, and a lot of the conversation was, we're going to rebuild for next year. We're going to be ready for next year. We're going to grow into next year. And what we've seen today is exactly that. A Tampa Krewe team that would not be denied. A couple of the things that they said about their team was that they have this teamwork, work ethic approach, that the culture of the team is so important to them, and they figured out a way to play for their coaches and to drive to win. This Tampa Krewe team is the Krewe are rolling, as I've said a bunch of times over this weekend, and it's just great to see. I can't wait to see these ladies host up the trophy after an undefeated season and going perfect on this weekend, absolutely running away with the competition.
The trophy will most definitely be well-deserved for the Krewe. We'll have one more play here, 57-14. The Krewe on top. And Lance, it's going to be hard to pick an MVP out of this crew of women that just showed up here for the D2 final. McGlade gives a kick. It goes well within the end. Donegan moves it to the forwards. It goes behind the back, but they're moving it through the hands. It's Oliveri. She's going to go ahead and go straight to the boot. This is that final bit. Referee Nelson blows it up, and the Krewe come back on top. Your Tampa, Florida Krewe are your D2 women's champions, 59-14 here in Houston, Texas. And Lance, tell us what Tampa Krewe did right. That point scoring differential does not lie.
They did everything right. Their defense was stingy. They found ways to get the ball back when the Whitehorses were in a very problematic situation. They were able to convert on a lot of their long runs. This Tampa Krewe team has a lot to be proud of, and they've done a great deed for the state of Florida. And as far as rugby here in the state of Florida, they've done a great thing for women's rugby here in the southeast of the USA. They have a lot to be proud of. Congratulations to all the coaches, the community, and the entire Tampa Krewe. Take that trophy home and celebrate, ladies. You earned it.
Cool. What do I gotta do? Where it says signature. Okay, now you're good to go. Cool. Do I want to leave my broadcast mic here? Or should I take it?
Tampa, Florida, Chirac swimming in that win. And we'll keep you posted on who ends up being the MVP, because there were a lot of them on this Tampa Krewe side.
Can I give an early vote? Because both games were lopsided in the way that they were, it's hard to really determine over the weekend who was the MVP. On this game especially, Nicole Schneider, defensive effort was absolutely immaculate. Set up the early try that really got this thing going and got them on the board. If I had to make one vote, it would be Nikki Snyder, inside center, who put on a masterful display, scoring 6 tries over the course of this weekend.
I'm frying. Everyone has film on? Everyone has film. St. Louis.
And down on the pitch with no bandana today is Tyler, there to interview the Tampa Krewe side.
Supporters all just air concerning that they're going to get poached again, but they're going to go way out to the backs here. Flooding through the lines is Nova. Now Canuch.
I believe we having microphone issues with Tyler right now.
Coming around to the left side, but Nova has stolen.
So we're having microphone issues with Tyler down on the field.
Brought in by McKee.
But a big congratulations to
Utah today. Now
this
the
Whitehorse
getting
team.
behind Utah. Toma Letai. Good carry from her.
It looks like that's USA
Still
Club.
going is Utah. Loose ball.
Director Nick.
Nova
who's got the
falling on
MVP
it.
trophy up, and Lance, we'll see if your
The
prediction was
momentum
right.
Swing again.
And none
And
other
it
than
was.
Nicole Snyder is going to get it. You called it.
Nova.
Just a
The
valiant
spoilers.
effort from them.
Oh,
You can
big
see what
hit
it
there
means
for the hooker coming
for
through.
this
She
D2
knocked
side.
it hard. Mila just smashing her.
And that's a big cup. That's a big old cup for Tampa Krewe. You did it. Those are your D2 finalists, the D2 winners, and you can see what it means.
Vipers played
Tampa
from
Krewe
in
are
front
your
most
D2
of the
women's
day yesterday. They were
champions.
up 31
Coming
to
up
3
next,
at
we're going to
one
be
point.
bringing you the Miami Tridents versus the Oceanside Chiefs for that men's D2 final.
Just been too many mistakes and relentless power from the perennial national champion, the Vipers, just trying to find something here in the last 5 minutes.
Tampa Krewe will have all of the time to celebrate that
But we
win
might
as we
have a
wait for the
replacement
Miami Tridents and the
coming
Oceanside
in,
Chiefs games
but
to
my
get
loud
underway
25
here
wearing
in
that number 25 jersey,
Austin,
able to get
Texas
back and
at the
join that
Round Rock
scrum again.
Complex. Lance
Another
Kavanaugh and
young
I
player for
will
this
be
Utah
bringing you
side,
all of the
21.
action. It's anything like what we just saw. You're not going to want to miss it.
From the Sharks, number 8.
Once again, Van de Hoven up in the air. Inciarte. Oitomen, he breaks. Will he have the support? Be there and support. It's a long run. Will he get there? He gets there. It's a try. Under the post. 7 points.
I chose to take Thorne supplements over another brand because they're sports backed. The products are also top of the line and they also taste great. It's important that the substances athletes take are tested for banned substances. One, because you want to make it a fair, even game, especially with the other players. And you want to make sure what you're putting into your body as an athlete is clean, researched, science-based, and it's healthy for you. So you want to put good in and get good out.
Yeah, Thorne has helped me a lot, especially in the last couple of months. I've had to pack on some weight to be able to play in this league, and I think taking creatine and protein every day and adding in a couple other things has made me a better athlete, a bigger athlete, stronger athlete, and just overall prepared me well. So I take creatine every morning when I first wake up. It's kind of like my checklist or part of my routine. I usually have a protein shake, a Thorne whey as well, so I usually just throw it in there or throw it in with some BCAAs. Whey protein definitely makes my life easier because I can come straight off the gym, straight off the pitch, and it takes 30 seconds to mix up a protein shake and get down some extra protein.
Rugby's always this macho setting that, you know, it's all about strength. You don't want to show any weakness, but the reality is that people do go through their own battles. Why is it important for us all within the rugby community to really kind of normalize this conversation that surrounds mental health?
We play in a very high stress situation all the time.
There's always a stigma around men that we have to be bravado and like strong.
Within every player, there's always something that you don't always, bring forth to the table, you don't always put out.
Sometimes you don't know it's affecting your game.
Learning ways to connect with other guys, be in environments where you can have the right conversations, be yourself, and share has been super helpful and super important to me in my career, and it's allowed me to grow and mature to the point where, I can handle what professional rugby is going to throw at me.
I think rugby's best played when you're happy and you're enjoying it and you're confident. And I think that these core tenets of being able to play well are fundamentally structured in having a clear mind and not having anything weighing and dragging you down. So clearing up and strengthening the mental aspect is going to inevitably affect the physical aspect. So I think they're completely connected there.
It's hugely important for the safety and well-being of players, looking after their mental health, but more importantly off the pitch, at the end of the day, we're not just players, we're humans, and we need to look after ourselves.
We are here to make the fast food business faster. With just one generous lick. Oh, sorry.